So welcome everybody to the first talk in this visit to Adelaide by Pravrajika Gayatriprana. We're very happy to be back here after a long COVID break, so to say. I think it was May 2020 last time we were here. Or 21. And we're very happy to be accompanied this time by Pravrajika Ajayaprana. She's visiting from Calcutta for a month and been quite a boost for the nuns in Sydney. They've been feeling quite isolated. They've had no visiting nuns since the outbreak of COVID. So it's been extra special having you here with us. And we'll be hearing about the wonderful work that Ajayaprana is doing in Calcutta. The Sri Sharada Math has the Matri Bhavan Maternity Hospital there. So and Ajayaprana Assistant Secretary, very, very involved, very busy with the very worthwhile work they're doing. And we're going to hear about that during the retreat on Sunday. And now with the program tonight, Gayatriprana will be giving a talk on Dehypnotization, Vedanta in practice. After the talk, there'll be a bit of time for questions and answers. And then we'll conclude with listening to a guided meditation by Rev.Pravrajika, Ajayaprana Mataji. And then Nirmala and David invite you to stay back and have dinner. And then tomorrow night, the topic for Gayatriprana's talk is using discernment in daily life. And same again, there's time for questions and answers. There'll be a guided meditation, and again, you're invited to stay back for dinner. And although if you can, bring a plate of vegetarian food to share. Then on Sunday from 2:50 to 5 p.m, we're going to have a presentation from Ajayaprana. It'll be a PowerPoint presentation and talk on practical Vedanta. And there'll be afternoon tea served after that. We are recording this on Zoom, and if you can't come along for all of the events, you can always join via Zoom. If you haven't got it already, Nirmala can send you the link. And we are also then going to be uploading these talks onto our Vedanta Society of New South Wales YouTube channel. So that it'll be there anytime for you to revisit, or for those who can't attend in person, they can got various options to view it. And welcome, by the way, to all. There's a few who've already joined us via Zoom. We have a donation plate here. Always appreciate your help in that way, to help cover the expenses for all these visiting nuns. And hopefully with COVID is receding, so they tell us. So maybe it's going to give us a chance to start inviting some nuns to come and visit again. And we look forward to doing that. So I think I've covered everything. I'll just be announcing about some new books later, once at the end of the session. So now I invite Gayatriprana to give her talk.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Dehypnotization, Vedanta in practice. Vedanta deals with direct realization of God, the ultimate reality, not with rituals and temples and the many do's and don'ts that go with us, like what we usually think of as religion. Now, Vedanta does not deal with that. It's dealing with the direct experience, direct realization of God or the ultimate reality. And the practice of Vedanta can be in one of the 4 ways that we speak of, the 4 yogas. Karma yoga, work dedicated to God. Bhakti yoga, love of God. Raj yoga, meditation, leading to the union of the individual self with the Supreme Self, or the Jivatman and Paramatman. And Jnana yoga, the realization that I am that self. I am Brahman. Now, when we say dehypnotization, we are dealing with this path of jnana, path of knowledge. One of the main teachings of Vedanta for those who follow the path of jnana or knowledge path is that we are essentially divine. And each one of us is trying to realize that divinity within, either consciously or unconsciously. So that is why Swami Vivekananda says, each soul is potentially divine. So when we say we are all divine, then why is there so many differences? We see so many wicked people doing bad things. Vedanta says it's only the difference in manifestation. So we are all divine. There is a divinity within all of us, but everybody is not manifesting in the same way. That's only difference. So we are that absolute, infinite existence, knowledge, bliss. And we are not this small, little, body, mind, bound being. We think that we are weak, we are ignorant. No, Vedanta says, no, we are not. We are that infinite beings. We are not the puny human beings. We think we are young and old, rich or poor, man, woman, healthy, sick, strong, weak, all these things we say. But that's not our real nature, according to Vedanta. So Vedanta says that we have been conditioned to think like that. We have been conditioned to think that, oh, I'm sick, or I'm strong, I'm weak, I'm man, I'm woman. All this is, we have been conditioned to think like that because through our ignorance. And we have been hypnotized to believe that we are these tiny, puny, human, mortal, helpless beings. Swami Vivekananda says, as soon as you say, I'm a little mortal being, you are saying something which is not true. You are saying something which is not true. You are giving lie to yourselves. You are hypnotizing yourselves into something wild, weak, and wretched. See the strong language he uses? This hypnotization happens when we don't realize our real nature, our real divine nature, that we are the immortal self. And most of our sufferings and negative experiences come from this belief or this idea that we are tiny, puny human beings. And so we identify with the body, mind, senses, intellect, ego, and we think that, oh, we are helpless. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's all identifying with that. But if you think, if you reflect a little, we can understand that this identification is not correct. For example, when I say my, use the word my, there is a distinction between I and mine. My book, my pen. So I'm not the book, I'm not the pen. So there's a difference between me and my pen, me and my book. The same way we use my body, my mind. So naturally, we can see there's a difference between the body and me, the mind and me. But we forget that. We identify the body, I am the body, I'm the mind. We identify that. That is hypnotism. We have been hypnotized from the childhood. We have been taught that. And all these things are continuously changing. The body is changing, the mind is changing, the intellect is changing. They say within 7 years, all the cells in the body has been changed. And in olden times, they used to say the people who renounce and become monks, they visit their native place after 12 years. In that 12 years, you have become a completely new person. Because every cell in the body has changed. You have got a completely new body. But we still continue to say, I. When we are a baby, as you grow up, completely different. The appearance is completely different. But still we say, I. I was a baby. That was me. It's showing the picture, we'll say, that was me. Nobody will recognize, completely different. But still that I is there. Through all, and in the same way, the mind changes. The thinking changes. The likes and dislikes changes. The likes and dislikes, the thoughts of a child are completely different from that of a youth, an adult, grown up, old. They keep on changing. Sometimes the changes may be mild, sometimes may be drastic, but all through these changes, the I remains. That is our real nature. We speak about personality. This word personality comes from the Latin word persona. Persona referred to the mask that the actors used to wear when they came on the stage to play their role. If you cut the word persona into two, P-E-R, means the mask through, sonar, S-O-N-A-R-E, sonar, means which he sounded. The mask through which he sounded his part. So the actor is speaking his part through the mask. We see only the part. What is the actor behind? Unseen, anonymous actor, we don't know who it is. Is completely detached from the emotions that he is expressing on the stage. The actor is not attached to any of those emotions, whether happy, sad, no, nothing. It's completely detached. But Vedanta says it's just like that. We are acting our part in this life, drama of life. This is a huge play going on, and we are all acting our different parts. And we have to act our parts in the best way possible. We have to be very, very good actors. But the mistake that we make is we identify ourselves with that particular role and think that we are really that. We are not, we are acting that part. So we get so attached to that our particular role, the particular conversation, dialogues we have, that we forget the previous roles that we played, the future roles that we are going to play, we forget all that. And we get identified with that particular role that we are going playing. We have to penetrate through these different layers of personality until we reach that detached actor behind all this part. And we have to break out of this hypnotic spell. Swami Vivekananda says, you are not sheep, you are lions. That is, he is referring to a story that Sri Ramakrishna gives. Those who read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna may know the story. He says, they give the story, a lioness full with cub once pounced on a flock of sheep. And in that effort, she gave birth to the cub and died. Now the lion cub grew up among the sheep drank the sheep milk and grew up, then started eating grass like the sheep, started bleating like the sheep, and in course of time, became a huge lion. Then one day, another lion came upon this flock of sheep, and all the sheep ran off, and this lion sheep also ran off. The lion which attacked was surprised to see a huge lion bleating like sheep and running off. So it waited for its chance. What is this strange behavior? And waited for a chance, and one day found this sheep lion sleeping and caught hold of it. And this sheep lion started bleating like the sheep. Then the other lion said, the visiting lion said, "You're not a sheep. Why are you bleating?" "No, I am a sheep. I am a sheep." "No, you are not a sheep. Come." And it dragged it to the river. Look at the water. Look at the reflection. Your face is just like my face. And so it's true. It's both of us look the same. Then it thrust a bit of piece of meat into this mouth. The sheep lion refused to eat it, but got the taste of the blood and enjoyed it. And now it roar like me. So that is dehypnotization. We are lions. So we have to break out this spell that we are sheep. We are not sheep, we are lions. And that is our true nature, this infinite, immortal self. That's our true nature. And it is that not something that we acquire. It is ours. We are already that. So that not just manifest, that's all. We are not getting anything new, something external from outside. No, it is ours. We just have to manifest it. There is no change, no evolution in the spirit. All the evolution is in nature only. When we say the wicked becoming good, a sinner turning a new page and becoming a saint, there is no evolution, no change in the spirit. It's all change is in nature only. Only thing is that spirit is more and more manifested. So Sri Ramakrishna speaks about the hole in the screen. A small hole, there's a screen, and you look out and you can see a part of a scenery outside. Suppose there's a hole in this blinds. If you look out, you can see the part of the outside scene, the park. But if you make the hole bigger and bigger, you can see more and more. And if you completely remove the blinds, you can see the whole scene. When we say the sinner becoming a saint, no change in the spirit, only that completely the ignorance, the covering is removed, that's all. The hole has become so big that it has covered, it has become as big as the scenery or as the window. So there's nothing to objecting or closing it. The spirit ever remains the same, the pure, ever perfect. It is a nature that is evolving more and more. So Swami Vivekananda gives this bold assertion. He says, you are not to become pure. It may sound a bit strange. He says, you are not to become pure. You are that already. You are not to become perfect. You are that already. We say we strive to become pure. We strive to become perfect. Swamiji says, you don't have to. You are that. Just realize that you are pure, you are perfect. Now, how are we to break out of this spell? To dehypnotize ourselves? How are we to develop this power to distinguish between this little self strutting on the stage of life, thinking I'm so and so, and the deeper, larger self, which is a silent witness in the background? Vedanta gives a three-tiered discipline: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Shravanam is the first one. It's listening, hearing, or even reading. The great truths, spiritual truths from the teacher or from scriptures. We have got many pithy sayings from the Upanishads, like Tattvamasi, thou art that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. That first you hear about it, then you think about it, think deeply. Many times we hear things, or we read things, but we don't think about it deeply. We have to think about deeply. After listening or reading, should think deeply until a deep conviction is generated in the mind about the truth of this, of those spiritual truths. And also the conviction that I may be able to attain that truth. Not that it is just for reading. I will attain that. That conviction should come through constant, continuous thinking about it. So Swamiji says, repeat it to yourselves day and night till it enters into your very veins, till it tingles in every drop of blood, till it is in your flesh and bone. Repeat what? I am that. I am that infinite Atman. Repeat that again and again, day and night. Let the whole body be full of that one ideal. I am the birthless, the deathless, the blissful, the omniscient, the omnipotent, ever glorious soul. Think on it day and night. Think on it till it becomes part and parcel of your life. So first hear or read, then think about it. Think about it deeply. Think about it constantly, day and night. And once you are established in that idea, we won't be moved from that even on the face of death. Nothing, there is no fear. Fear is completely eradicated, even at the face of death, because death is only for the body. What's that? You can't, I'm not afraid of death, because the death is for the body. I'm that infinite Atman. There is one incident that in the Himalayas, yes, some of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna were there, and across the river, they saw a sadhu sitting, a monk sitting, or sitting and meditating and repeating Om. And they also saw a tiger sitting and watching this man. After some time, the tiger pounced on him, caught hold of him in his mouth. He is still repeating Om, 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 Om. Went on repeating, and the tiger carried him away till they could, for a long distance, they could not see him anymore because the tiger had gone deep into the forest, but they could still hear for a long time the repetition of Om, because there's no fear of death. I am that infinite Atman, that realization has come. And the third step is Nididhyasana. It's a deep meditation. It's a higher form of meditation, not just what we call meditation. Actually, when we say we are meditating, what are we doing? We are sitting with eyes closed and trying to concentrate our mind. That's what we call meditation. That's not meditation. This is a higher form of meditation where the mind is fixed on this idea, I'm that infinite Atman. And it's a direct inquiry into the nature of the self. And the process that is taken is a process of not this, not this. What is that self is, nobody can say, because it is beyond word and speech. Nobody can say what it is. We can describe about objects. The self is not an object to describe. Self is not an object to know. It is consciousness, it is awareness. So we cannot say what it is, we cannot know what it is, We can only say what it is not. So this is the process, not this, neti, neti, not this, not this. As we see in the Nirvana Shaktam of Shankaracharya. I am not the mind, I am not the buddhi, I am not the ego, I am not the intellect. Only we can say only not this, I am not this, I am not this. We can never say I am that. No, we become that. When we realize that, there's no more saying anything. You become that. Like as Sri Ramakrishna's example, the salt doll goes to the ocean to measure the depth. What happens? The moment it steps in, becomes one with the ocean, melts. So that's why they say the knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. Through continuous and prolonged practice of such reflections, the spiritual aspirant comes to have a sense of this infinite self, underlying this finite one. And then he or she will be able to distinguish between the two, the infinite self and the finite self. Like they're no longer confused or mixed up. They'll be completely separate, like water and oil. Water and oil don't mix. Earlier, until that realization come, it was like milk and water. What happens if you pour milk and water? Become one. Whereas oil and water, they remain separate. They don't get mixed. So slowly, continuous and prolonged practice. It is not just once in a while you have this type of reflections and you attain the realization. No. They say practice has to be constant, continuous, prolonged. Only through such prolonged practice, they come to the realization that this is completely different. And now we come to the next stage of shifting this identification from the external, the ephemeral, to the everlasting part. Now at present, earlier identification was with the body, mind, intellect, ego, or we can say the psychophysical system. Now we are shifting our identification from the psychophysical system to the eternal awareness. And that is to be done not just when we sit for meditation, but all times of the day, through whatever we are doing, through all the chores of the daily work, we have to have that identification that I am that self. It's not easy. Oh, I am saying I am the self, I'm that infinite Atman, and then you come and say, you fool, what did you do? Now my self all goes out. I get angry, I get upset, I get sad. It's very hard. It's very hard. So nobody says it is easy, but we have to practice. And they say, well, they give us some suggestions how to practice. When they say it's hard, and as when Arjuna said, oh, it's so hard to control the mind. It's like you are asking to Sri Krishna, he said, asking like controlling the mind is like controlling the wind. Krishna didn't say, oh, don't worry about, don't go ahead to control. No, he said, yes, it is hard, but it can be done through practice and dispassion. Here also they say, given different practices. One of them is to consider this unripe ego, the I, the little self, identify with the body, mind, or the psychophysical system in third person. Not instead of saying I say, oh, somebody's called Gayatriprana. Somebody abused Gayatriprana. I'm separate. If you try to have that attitude, it's very hard for us ordinary people. It's very hard. They don't say it's easy. No, it's not easy. It's hard. Sri Ramakrishna used to practice like that. He used to say, he could not say I. Whenever we had to refer to himself, he used to say this place or here. And in the early days, once when he was talking like that, he heard it from one of the religious scholars who came to Dakshineshwar temple. And he thought that's a real good idea. It's the real practice. So he started saying that this place here, instead of saying I. And then Madhur Babu, the proprietor of the temple, when he heard that, he said, why are you speaking like that? They have got their egos. So when they say I, they are proud, arrogant. No, you don't have to speak like that. You don't have ego like that. But still Sri Ramakrishna used to say that. He could not say I, because his I was completely eradicated. He has merged one with that infinite self. So he used to say here or this place. That's a good practice. You can try. They're giving different methods to practice so that to help us on that way. So slowly, if you practice like that, the idea grows that I'm the witness. Whatever happens to this body, it's not happening to me. I can watch what's happening here. And this body is a city with 9 gates. That's how she in the Gita describes the body. Navadware pure dehe says. What are the 9 gates? The 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 nostrils, mouth, and the 2 at the lower part of the body. So the 9 holes body, city, whatever happens, I'm not unconcerned. I'm not concerned with that. I'm that witness. Whatever is happening, I'm just watching them. That slowly, that attitude, that idea will come. And we may be small bubbles. I may be a small bubble, another person may be a great giant, spiritual giant, but manifestation is different. But the same self is in all. So Swamiji says, I may be a small bubble, you a huge wave, but behind us both is the same mighty ocean. See, sometimes especially in the cold areas, the surface of the ocean is covered by ice near the poles. Now there'll be holes, different shape, different size in the ice, but through each hole we can touch the ocean, the water. We are touching the same ocean. The holes may be different, some small, big, but the same ocean we are touching. The same way, you are maybe manifesting only small, a little bit of that infinite spirit. Another person may be manifesting more, but behind us both is the same infinite Atman, realize is there. And that is the type of faith that we have to cultivate for ourselves and for those around us. I have that infinite Atman is behind me. And speaking about faith, Swamiji says, throughout the history of mankind, if any motive power has been more potent than another in the lives of great men and women, it is that of faith in themselves. Faith in themselves. Have faith in yourself. Born with the consciousness that they were to be great, they became great. And again, in the same way, about speaking about faith in themselves, in oneself, Swamiji says, the older religions called him an atheist who didn't believe in God. The modern religion calls him an atheist who does not believe in himself. If you don't believe in yourself, you are an atheist. Not that you have to believe in a God with a particular form. No. If you don't have faith in yourself, you are an atheist. That's according to Swami Vivekananda. So Vedanta is telling us again and again, you are the pure one, the all-powerful one. So it is not befitting to say that you are a sinner, you are weak. In the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we see Sri Krishna saying, Arjuna, does not befit you. Don't be weak-hearted, it does not befit you. So the same way we had to think. To think that we are weak, we are miserable, does not befit us, because we have got that infinite, the source of all power behind us. We should not stoop down like that. We are the heirs of immortal bliss. In his paper on Hinduism that Swami Vivekananda presented in the Parliament of Religions in 1893, he says, "Ye are the children of God, the sharers of immortal bliss, holy and perfect beings. Ye divinities on earth, sinners," because the Christian idea is you are a sinner. So that's why he was speaking to most of the audience were Christians, followers of Christianity. That's why he's saying, "Ye sinners, come up, O lions, shake off the delusion that you are sheep. You are souls immortal, spirits free, blessed and eternal. Ye are not matter, ye are not bodies. Matter is your servant, not you, the servant of matter. The matter is your servant, because we are that infinite spirit." This is the way the Advaitis practice dehypnotization. But the majority of humanity is dualist. We are not able to think that I am that infinite Atman. Most of us cannot stand on the high pedestal that I am that I am that infinite Brahman or infinite Atman. Forgetting our true nature, we think that we are finite beings. So Vedanta is not ridiculing them, not looking down on them. We have got Vedanta. When we say Vedanta, Vedanta includes monism, that's Advaita, qualified monism, Vishishtadvaita, and Dvaita, dualism. So everything is placed. All these where infinite reality is manifesting through all of us. Behind the infinite reality, behind all of us is that infinite reality. So we have it. Each person has to proceed from where he or she is. Not that everybody follow the same path. If you are able to stand on the idea that I am that infinite Atman, very good, well and good. But most of us are not able to. We need support. We need a personal God. So what to do? There also we have to dehypnotize ourselves. We have to find the connection between the eternal God and the eternal soul. And you have to remember that God is the nearest, the dearest. And where is God? It's not somewhere out. It's seated within our heart. Our heart is the seat of God. God takes our seat, takes a seat in our heart. Then why don't we realize that? Because of our ignorance. We have covered it. The impurities of the heart. We have covered it completely. With the feeling that we are weak, we are sinners. The very idea of thinking that we are a sinner is the root cause of all problems. The Sri Ramakrishna very usually says, the person who goes on thinking that I am a sinner becomes a sinner. Instead of saying I am a sinner, think that I am pure. The more that you think I am pure, I am strong, you become that. You are what your thoughts are. Buddha says that. You think yourself pure, you become pure. You think yourself strong, you become strong. So remember, always try to remember God is seated within me. So the source of all strength is within me. The source of all power is within me. The dynamo of power is within me. So I'll be able to do everything. There's nothing impossible for me. I can do anything. I can face all problems because The source of all power is within me. It is not arrogance. It is the strength. I am strong in his strength, in God's strength. It is like the faith of a child. The child has got faith that its mother can do anything. As far as the child is concerned, the mother is all powerful. Mother knows everything. And Sri Ramakrishna says, when the maidservant's child has a fight with the master's child, they are playing together, they had a fight, and then what the maidservant's child will say, I have got my mother, I'll go and tell my mother. For the child, mother is all powerful. That type of faith we should have. I have God within me. I'm strong in his strength. I can do anything. I can face any calamity. There is nothing impossible for me. That faith we should have. In one of his letters that Swamiji wrote to his brother disciples from America in 1894, he wrote, work with undaunted energy. He was encouraging them to do work, educational, humanitarian work, instead of spending all the time in spiritual practices. He says that's not for the modern time. That was the old-fashioned ascetics. Now it's a time, love of God you manifest or show it through the action, service to humanity. So he says, work with undaunted energy. What fear? Who is powerful enough to thwart you? Then he writes in Sanskrit, Kurmastaraga sarvanam tribhuvanam utpadayamo balat. Kimho na vijanasyasman Ramakrishna dasavayam. We shall crush the stars to atoms. See the words? We shall crush the stars to atoms and unhinge the universe. Don't you know who we are? We are the servants of Sri Ramakrishna. We are the servants of God. We are the children of God. What is there impossible for us? There's nothing. We can change everything. We can face any calamity. That's the type of faith we have. And that is dehypnotization according to the dualist. But whatever path you're following, you have to change or remove this hypnotism that we are weak, we are impure, we are limited human beings. Either you think yourself that I am that infinite Atman, all-powerful, immortal, ever pure, ever existing Atman, self, or have the faith that I am the child of God, I'm the servant of God. With that God's power, I'll be able to face anything in this world. Death has no fear for me. There is a story that Swami Vivekananda was very fond of saying. When Alexander the Great came to India, he was told by his teacher that there are very many wise people, wise sages in India. If possible, try to meet a person. So Alexander sent his generals to find out, and the soldiers went around looking and found an old person, is ascetic, sitting quietly, and they said, our emperor wants to see you. You please come with us. The old man said, I'm not interested in going. I'm not interested in seeing your emperor. So they went and reported. The Alexander himself came and talked to him and was very happy. And he wanted to take him back to Greece. The man said, I'm not coming. This is the first time in the life of Alexander somebody is saying no to him. He could not believe it. That he said, I am the emperor of the universe. Well, I don't care. Doesn't mean anything to me. I can kill you. Then the man burst out laughing. You kill me? This is the worst lie you have ever told in your life. You kill me. You may kill this body. But how can you kill me? I'm that infinite, immortal self. You kill me. That is the faith. That is the idea that we should have. The body will die. Body goes through changes. In the Gita, Sri Krishna says, just as the childhood, adult, that is just another change. We cannot change it. That will happen. The changes will happen. But I will remain. And we can see that all the time. We all say I. All different bodies, but everybody, the I is in all of us. So that I is immortal. So many people have died. So many people will come. But I is in all of them. That I, as Maharaj used to say, first person singular, is in all of us. That is an infinite Atman. That is our real nature. That we have to realize. That is dehypnotization. Thank you.
So there's time for some questions and answers. Question and answer session.
Like you mentioned about meditation, where we do meditation using some alambana, concentrate on it. Then we said that that's not the meditation. We should concentrate, if I get this message right, that I am Atman. Then you don't need alambana. Or you should do both.
Pardon me?
When we are normally taught how to do meditation, there is an object for meditation, alambana. Then that certainly gives the peace of mind. But then in your talk, you mentioned that is not meditation. Real meditation is that you should contemplate that I am Atman, not this body and mind. Then you don't need any alambana for that meditation.
See, different people have got different capacity. Our temperaments are different. Some people don't need any support. Some people need support. Most of us need, that's why I said, most of us are dualists. We need support. We need a concrete object to meditate. So we keep a picture, a form, something to concentrate upon, and some divine form to think upon, to fix our mind, to meditate. Whereas some people don't need anything.
No, but you said that real meditation is when you contemplate that you're Atman.
Yes. They don't.
That level, I don't need alambana.
No, at that time you don't need. No, you don't need all those things because you can continuously, without any help, you can fix the mind on the idea that I'm that infinite Atman. So you don't need external forms.
During Swamiji's time, Gayatriprana, at that time, of course, sin in the Western world, there was a lot of fixation and a lot of complexes arising from the whole idea of sin. Now, in a country like Australia, you've got an increasing percentage of the population who don't have any religious faith anymore. It's getting up to around 40%. And so replacing sin, I think now what's happening is it's people having a lack of faith in themselves. And I've come across a word that I love, I think I've mentioned to you, the kidult. Kidult. And there's one social researcher looking into that, how there's an increasing trend for people trying to hold on to their childhood and teenage years. They don't want to take on the responsibilities and the pressures of being an adult. They're trying to avoid that. And it's holding them back and they're not fulfilling their potential. So I'm wondering, it's like this, the modern sin is this lack of faith in themselves, awareness of what your capacities are, and what our capacities are.
And they don't want to face the realities, and because reality means facing challenges.
Well, there's one other word she's using, the Peter Pan complex, where you want everybody and everything to look after you. You should be cared for all the time.
You are the center of the whole universe. See, that is, I think it can be the result of how the parents pamper them in their childhood. We don't want, I went through so many difficulties, so I don't want my child to face any difficulties. Actually, we are destroying them by protecting them so much. It's like if the baby falls down, and if the mother says, "Oh, my baby has fallen down, so I don't want it to walk," it will never learn to walk. We are destroying like the generation like that by overprotection. Just like over sanitizing, no immunity is completely gone. We grew up with mud, so a little bit of mud has gone into stomach. Nothing happened. Immunity came, but now so protected, no immunity. The same way, mental immunity, spiritual immunity, intellectual immunity is becoming less and less. They're not able to face their life.
Hypnotization, is it limited between birth and death?
Birth and death is for the body.
Between the birth and death, we are hypnotized?
Yeah,
Because, let me complete different way. Between birth and death, B and D, you've got C, which are a lot of choices out there. And we have three things during this period. We want to live longer. We never want to die. Am I right? We want to learn. We want to have a lot of knowledge. And we want to remain happy always. That is Satchitan and all the three things what we have got it. But when we die, these qualities, do they travel with us in the after death?
These qualities of wishing to
live all the three things, what I have just now said.
Yes, because that is our real nature. Till we realize that a desire for those will be there.
So this hypnotization which we have got here, we can do the dehypnotization this time between this period. But after death, is there any way to do? Or is there a choice there then?
You get a next life.
No,
Between death and birth, there is nothing. You don't do anything. You don't gain anything, because this world, this earth is the field of action. You do anything good or bad, you gain anything only on this human body. Without a body, you can't do anything. So that is why you have to have the body.
You require the instrument.
Yes.
To be the world. Okay.
If one is to spend their life very focused on I am Brahman, do we, in essence, need a mantra?
It helps.
It helps.
It helps in concentrating the mind, and also one purifying the mind, because repetition of God's name purifies the mind. And mantra, when we get from a teacher, it has got more spiritual potential than just an ordinary name of God.
I think it can be very difficult to hang on to the concept that one is Atman in day-to-day, in practicality. Are there any other techniques or things that we can hold on to and use that will help us in maintaining that, even when we're having to go through our daily duties of work?
See, that is the one that you said, I'm the child of God. I'm the servant of God. So that way, that is easy for majority of people. I'm the child of God. What's it for me to fear? I got my father or mother. Where as children, we think whatever problem, the parents will solve for us. Now we have got that immortal father and mother who will be always there. So problems will come in life. In life will be always problems, but we will be able to face them with their strength. They're always there.
To that question, that it's very difficult to think that there's a Atman here and there. So what in between us and the Atman, there is something which is stopping us to realize that or to even think of that. Is it our ego, which is conditioned mind, or it is something else?
No, it is the ego and ultimate ignorance, you can say.
Ego is an outcome of ignorance or not?
Ego is of course, ego is an outcome of ignorance.
Say ignorance. So is there a way to then if we start taking purifying our ego or if we start addressing the ego problem, then perhaps the path will keep on getting clearer and
Yes, but ego is very hard to get rid of. You think that you have got rid of the ego, and Sri Ramakrishna says ego is like the what's that, banyan, the people tree. You cut down the root, and then within 2 days you see a new shoot coming up. You think that you have completely removed your ego, and the moment you say, I have got rid of my ego, that shows you this ego. Because if there is no ego, you won't be able to say even I. That ego is completely filled. So that is why Sri Ramakrishna says, change that's the unripe ego, I standing. Change it into the ripe ego. I'm God's servant. I'm child of God. Slowly, that will purify the mind. Then the Atman will reveal itself. That's why we combine both. The path of knowledge and path of bhakti go together. It's easy.
and path of knowledge comes through the self.
The reasoning that I'm not this, inquiry. Yes. I'm not this, I'm not this, not this, not this. It's very hard.
So it is a self-inquiry which eventually will try to reduce your ego, and then slowly you will be on that path.
But that needs strong willpower.
Yeah, that's
To remove the ego through self-inquiry is you need a very strong willpower. Otherwise, ego will come back.
So this path which you mentioned, to depend on God, that He is my Father, that will lead me to a level where probably I'll be peaceful, but it won't lead me to moksha, would it? Unless,
Of course, it will.
how it will lead? I mean, my intellect has to tell me I'm not this body and mind. Won't come with that.
It is a step. It will lead. It will step.
Eventually, you have to have more gyan, knowledge.
Even with that, we don't have to go through the path of knowledge. Even from that, we can reach, because I am a child of God. That idea, when you deep rooted, slowly it'll come. That I am one with God. See the gopis of Vrindavan. They had love for Krishna. And we read in the Bhagavatam that one day the Ras Leela, you all may know the incidents that Krishna was dancing with the gopis. And they got a bit of pride came to their mind. Oh, Krishna loves us, he's dancing with us. The moment the pride came, he disappeared. They could not see Krishna anymore. He disappeared. And then they were so upset, sad, that they started praying to him. And also they started thinking of all the different incidents in his life from the time he was born, and thinking about it so much that they forgot who they are. they forgot their individuality and they identify themselves with Krishna. Then they start seeing each other as Krishna. All the other gopis, they were seeing Krishna in other gopis. See, this is devotion gone to the extreme. You have become one with God. So when you take devotion also, the path of devotion of looking upon God as father or mother, I'm a child of God, I'm a servant of God, that completely leads to this ultimate realization that I am one with God. First they saw the trees and all those things. Oh, you're meditating, the tree standing. Oh, you're meditating on Krishna. And after that a stage came, they saw each other as Krishna. Everybody is there for them, there's Krishna only. And then their individuality is completely removed from the mind, and then Krishna came back. And he took so many forms that with each gopi there was a Krishna. That's what Bhagavatam says. Yes.
We say that ignorance is transformed into Krishna?
No.
No.
Ignorance is not transformed.
Ignorance is gone instead of.
Ignorance is gone.
And instead, because Krishna is felt in the mind of each. So the Krishna is coming from there, and that's all.
The Krishna was within their heart manifested outside.
Manifested outside. So ignorance is gone.
Ignorance is gone. So the Krishna, God is within all of us. Our heart is there. It's there. God is seated there. But just that we are, because of our ignorance, it's not manifested.
I think in the practical life, in a day-to-day that we work, answering that question in that, if ever want us do a job and consider that as a job of God and do it faithfully instead of asking thousands of questions, why I'm not paid more, why I'm paid less, instead of continuing the job and thank God for the job is there and perform to the best of their ability. I think the world will become better world.
Yeah. That is the Karma Yoga. This is God's work. Whatever I'm doing is God's work. So I have to do it in the best way possible.
And be appreciative of it. I remember we went on a trip to India. These devotees, Ramakrishna, came back to us after taking us 2 weeks and said to us, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you. Do we ever say that? I mean, it shocks us. For them doing all the job and to thank us in that situation. I mean, that's marvelous.
You are going to ask something?
I got scared.
Got scared. Just now we say we're going to have fearlessness.
I'm not there yet. Not scared.
Just a couple more announcements. Many of you I know knew Pravrajika, Ajayaprana Mataji very well. She was here for nearly 30 years, started the Sharada Mutt's first centre outside India in Sydney. And last year, this book was published, Pravrajika, Ajayaprana, The Guiding Light, and it's reminiscences of many devotees. So there were about 20 contributors in Australia, and including there's a couple of articles by Gayatriprana, and also many of the devotees in India also have contributed to this. And it's a lot of photos in here too. But what's really nice is there's not a lot of repetition. Everybody's coming at it from a different angle. So really very revealing book about that. Quite an amazing person. So that
Maybe the only repetition you see is everybody saying, Mataji said, I can, I must, I will. That many people have said.
And then the other book we've got that was released recently, Vedanta in Practice, Spiritual Unfoldment. And it's a collection of transcribed talks of lectures that Mataji, Ajayaprana gave in Malaysia. And I think there's a couple of articles there from India, talks in India. So this is a really good book too. Highly recommend that. So that's available. Yeah. Now we will conclude with listening to a guided meditation by Ajayaprana. So as much used to say, sit up straight, close your eyes. We can dim the lights. Very technical difficulties here through using the play.
Bow down to thee, O thou pure existence, the one support of all the worlds. I bow down to thee, O thou pure intelligence, the one self of the multiform universe. I bow down to thee, the non-dual being, the giver of freedom. I bow down to thee, Supreme Brahman, limitless and absolute. Let us try to relax the body and the mind, gather our thoughts, and meditate upon the radiance of the divine being in the depths of our heart. The Supreme Being is the one source of all life, the one source of all strength, of all wisdom, of all love, and of all joy. The Supreme Being seems to be far away from us, but in fact, he is nearer than the heart. He is the innermost dweller of our heart. Let us close our eyes to all outward sensations and go inwards to find him, seated there in all his glory and splendor, and waiting for us to turn our attention towards him. Let us try to turn our inner eye backwards. Focus your attention on the center of your heart. We find there, emerging out of the gloomy darkness, which is the first thing that we see. When we look very closely and with faith and trust, we can see a tiny spot of glorious light becoming visible. Believe that you are seeing it. It is there. A thin beam of brightness coming from that spot of radiance rises up, becomes brighter and brighter, illumining the space within the heart. This bright spot of light is your individual consciousness. The ray coming from the spot of light, when we look closer, we can find that it connects the spot of light to the very bright star of ineffable radiance shining high above in the space of your heart. Above in the heart, in the space above in the heart, is a very bright star. And in the center of your heart is the spot of light. And a golden ray joins this spot with the star. The bright star is the cosmic consciousness behind everyone and everything in this universe. And also beyond it. Your individual consciousness is really a part and parcel of the universal consciousness, the Supreme Spirit, sovereign majesty. The extremely brilliant star above, the seat of absolute intelligence, and the luminous spot of light below, the seat of individual consciousness, are connected with each other by the beautiful ray, the state of constant awareness. That is our state. Our individual consciousness is always connected with the cosmic or universal consciousness. And we experience that truth in our heart only when we turn our gaze away from the world and towards the heart. The entire space in the heart is luminous with a golden radiance, a tiny radiance. Only these two entities, the bright, wonderful star, well-shaped star above, pulsating with universal consciousness, and the spot of light below, our individual consciousness, sustained by the luminous power from the star above. It's always present there. This meeting of the two. Always in a state of yoga. Universal consciousness feeding our individual consciousness. We are blind to it. Now in these few moments of silence and solitude, we become aware of this wonderful phenomenon that's always within the heart. The bright, very bright star above and the luminous spot below, connected by the ray of light. Let us concentrate on this phenomenon for for a few moments. And feel the peace that already there. Experience the peace that is already there. Hari Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.